Hello everyone, it's Alex Axe, and it's Wednesday, December 13th. Yay! We're still doing asphalt at work, so I'm having a good old time. And it's a really awesome Wednesday for a lot of reasons, so woo! Hump day, we're getting over the hump. I mean, it's almost lunchtime because I've had a very busy morning. So a thing I just saw that I'm super happy about is Patreon decided to, with a gentle pulling motion, but steady one, extract its own head from its ass and walked back the proposed fee changes. So I'm super excited that basically either once I get home or if I can get my shit together on doing it on mobile, I can put all my pledges back, because I think that also means they're not going to screw over the creator to creator pledges, which was what made me have my initial freak out and delete everything anyway. Plus I wasn't going to be able to afford all the ones that I had. So that's good. I'm super excited. I get to, support people again with my sad little $1 pledges that still mean that I love you. And then, of course, the other super major thing that happened last night was the Badgers won trivia! No, I mean, actually, what I mean is that as it was literally being announced that my team won trivia, which was exciting enough, was when I saw on Twitter the AP popping up with, oh, Doug Jones won in Alabama. So it was like an amazing night. Plus, holy shit, they have this beer at Cocapelli called the, Naughty or Nice, and it's this kind of a dark ale, which is 7% alcohol, and holy crap, I mean, that thing took me out with one drink, except I didn't realize how it was hitting me when they came to get the next round order, so I ended up also with a snake bite. So it was a great night last night. And after I got home, I watched 3 more episodes of The Punisher while I was finishing up a blanket that I'm going to give to somebody for a Christmas present that I had to get done last night. So I'm just a little out there this morning because I did not get enough sleep because I was crocheting, as you do. But anyway, so Doug Jones won, which is amazing because it means that white evangelical voters in Alabama are not sending a pedophile to the Senate, no matter how hard they tried. And goodness, they tried, which, yay for everyone who wasn't in that demographic who voted for Doug Jones instead of Roy Moore. Yay, black voters saving the day from the horrible white evangelical voters who, obviously thought Roy Moore was a great idea, and bless you tiny proportion of white evangelicals who didn't vote for him. And I guess that this candidate was so icky, and he still had such a massive wad of the white evangelical population voting for him is just really disturbing, and says a lot about what values they actually hold. I mean, there have been some fucked up threads on Twitter. I don't know if I'll be able to find them because they were from a while ago, where people were talking about kind of contextualizing more being predatory towards younger teenage girls as not that weird in the context of some of the white evangelical culture, which is fucking disturbing and icky, and there needs to be some house cleaning down there. Plus, I was reading another thread today, which I can link to, talking about how Trump appealing to the white working class has really been kind of misrepresented, and white working class is not a homogenous thing, and especially in the South, it's not so much working class as white evangelical, and that explains why Trump did the shittiest thing in the world and decided to cause a lot of unnecessary harm by being oh, we're totally going to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, just fuck this guy. But that is entirely an appeal to these hyper conservative, weird ass white evangelicals that are seriously a major concern for what they're trying to do to the country and the world. So I mean, that's disturbing, and it's also just I was listening to a lot of the news stuff where it was God wants Republicans, or all that rhetoric, and I'm just sitting there going if you have bought into this idea so much that somehow, like, the Republicans are the religious, like, God-given party, da-da-da. I still don't understand how, when you have someone that horrifically shitty, even if you believe you will go to hell if you vote for a Democrat, just write in a different fucking Republican or Mickey Mouse or Jesus. I don't know. But then again, what I'm guessing is that for a lot of these voters, his homophobia, Islamophobia, racism, etc., is a feature and not a bug, and that is a major problem. But this is a happy thing because that fucking asshole didn't win, and instead we get Doug Jones in the Senate, and, you know, at this point, I'm just like, I hope he hangs out with Senator Bennett, because Senator Bennett is the Democrat from Colorado, and it's kind of funny, because when I initially, like, I voted for him when he first got elected to the Senate, he was kind of like, he's not that exciting, but, you know, like, the Republican was really awful. I want to say it might have been Ken Buck. Like, you know, I don't wear high heels, Ken Buck. But Senator Bennett has really grown on me, because if nothing else, there are some great videos of him getting really, really mad about stuff. And he's just been kicking as much butt as he can kick on behalf of Colorado. So I'm just like, maybe he and Doug Jones will be friends and it'll be awesome. And, you know, I can... It's Senate fandom. But anyway, so I am just, like, so happy about that. And as much as we also need to like, examine some of the really demographically disturbing shit about how close that race was, at the same time, it's, like, a huge deal because it's been 25 years since Alabama sent a Democrat to the Senate at all. So that's huge. And also speaks to the fact that I hope that the Democrats are gonna, like, get their shit together and run in every race. And run to win in every race, because it's possible. And because when I was living in Texas, there were plenty of times where there were no Democrats running at all for different offices, like zero. It was either the Republican or someone from the wackier fringe parties that, you know, got you to vote for the Republican because you were like, at least they live on the same planet as me, even if I don't like what they stand for necessarily. Though also, I'll note that, you know, there are local Republicans that are just fine. Like, okay, I voted for the Republican candidate for the mayor of my city just because the other candidates were way out there. And plus, he's been a good mayor, and he doesn't hate gay people, and is not a whole lot like the national Republicans are. So there you go. It's also, like, especially for local things, party stuff can start to break down. I'm not going to say it definitely does. But anyway, hopefully it's like we're going to run in every election and concentrate on voting rights, because it's, like, amazing the massive turnout that black voters had in Alabama, despite the fact that there was a new voter ID law that was specifically stated to be in place to try to interfere with minority voters. And that shit is just endemic. So it's like the Democrats really need to start focusing on voter suppression, you know, undoing voter suppression, to be clear, and undoing a lot of the damage that gerrymandering has done, which does not mean that they are supposed to gerrymander it in their favor. I would just like to see, like, some fucking reasonable congressional districts drawn, because wouldn't that be great? And then you could be like, hey, if you win fair and square, and go you. But the other thing, a lot of people have been saying, like, Doug Jones, the first things he should do when he gets to the Senate are chip and talk about a new Voting Rights Act, which is like, yes, there needs to be a new federal Voting Rights Act, because that would undo a lot of the harm, and thanks to the Supreme Court for fucking that up. And then the thing that I kind of mentioned this morning on Twitter is I was like, universal automatic voter registration, which apparently there's, like, some privacy issues with that, but for God's sake, resolve it, because anything that makes it easier for people to vote is, as far as I'm concerned, good. But that's because I'm one of the people that likes the results when more people get to vote, which I'm still of the opinion that if you cannot fucking win an election without suppressing the vote and making it difficult for people to vote, you don't fucking deserve to win. But, like, universal voter registration. And the other thing I really would like to see is universal mail-in ballots. And some people were talking about, like, in Sweden and also apparently in Oregon, they do a thing where if you have a mail-in ballot, you can still like change your mind and go vote the day of, and they'll just discount your mail-in ballot, which is pretty cool. I don't know if it works that way in Colorado or not, but like the thing that I like most about the mail-in ballots in Colorado is you can just sit on your mail-in ballot and not mail it in and just drop it off at a polling place on election day if you're uncertain about things, or you're waiting to see developments. So like mail-in ballots in general just improve accessibility so much. And apparently the United States Postal Service actually has a policy that even if you don't put postage on your mail-in ballot, they will still deliver it, and then they'll just like charge the department at that I guess like whatever department the votes are under in that state, which is just amazing, because obviously the United States Postal Service probably has a vested interest in protecting democracy, or one would think so. But like, just mail-in ballots make things so much more accessible, and they give you time to like research things if there's a lot of ballot issues and all that. And the other thing I was like, I wish we could just get universally, because I didn't even realize this wasn't a universal thing until I moved to Texas, is Colorado has what's called the Blue Book, which has nothing to do with figuring out the value of your car. But it's actually like this cool little booklet they send out to you that I don't know if it's dual language English and Spanish, but you can get a Spanish language version of it, because the law is actually like, if more than 5% of people speak this language in a given county, you have to make the Blue Book available in that language, which is pretty cool. But anyway, you get the Blue Book, and it's a nonpartisan thing where they give you the language of whatever's on the ballot, which is normally, it's all about like ballot initiatives and stuff, and we get a lot of those in Colorado anyway, just because of how our state constitution works. But anyway, it gives you the legalistic language. Then it gives you a translation of that's basically like in plain English or plain Spanish, this is what it will do. It gives you like the state financial office's budget impact assessment. Like, this is how much it'll cost, or this is how much it'll bring in. And then, like, that isn't cool enough. What the Blue Book has is it has a summary of arguments, like for and against. And it's very, like, I have never felt like it's been biased. Like, it's always very fair, where it's like, proponents of this say X, Y, and Z, and people who don't like it say X, Y, and Z. And it's like a very good summary of how you can take a look at initiatives. And then you can decide, how do I feel about these arguments? You can do a little more research if you want to, but for the most part, I haven't had to do any extra research about anything that's been in the Blue Book, because it's such a good resource. And that's another thing that you wouldn't necessarily think of, but it improves accessibility of voting, because it makes it easier for people to understand what the hell is on the ballot and make informed choices about it, which is really great, because otherwise you're just like getting bombarded with postcards and you're like, I don't fucking know what's going on. And then actually the Blue Book always also has for judges, it'll just say if they were recommended for retention by whatever organized legal board does that, which is really useful too. So like, I wish that every state had a Blue Book. When I was in Texas and we didn't have one, I missed it so much, because it meant that every time there was something on there, I had to go out and try to figure out what was going on. And, sadly, it's only for like statewide stuff. I wish we had things for like local and county, because those are sometimes a lot harder to research. But it's still like a really super good resource, and I wish that everyone had it. And if your state doesn't have it, maybe, that's something to suggest to your local party, because like I said, it's something that improves understanding of the democratic process and makes it easier for people to participate. So anyway, this is running a little bit long. A quick mention, there's a really good essay on Tor.com today about fun and, what people consider fun or not. Like, there isn't anything wrong with having fun, but you should probably consider why, like, you think things that involve, say, murdering lots of brown people is fun, but things that involve punching Nazis aren't fun. Just as an example to pull out of the ether. And it's really good, and I'll link it in the notes, because I think everyone should read it. And it definitely is just kind of another reminded me of that, it's only apolitical if it agrees with your politics that you have and haven't questioned at all. So anyway, read that, today is a happy day. I'm super enthused. I'm gonna go test some more asphalt now, and I will talk to you later.